So now we actually get to the fun part, I guess. So we're going to put water in, we're going to put the river in, we're going to put the trees in, and we're going to put the natural resources in. So, first things first, let's unpause. So we've had this paused all through that time because I didn't want the water just flooding in and cramping my star, because then essentially the water is kept, and we need to press reset. Sea level, yeah. The water volume is kept in position, so if for instance I was playing around with the height of this bit over here, what would have happened is, as I pressed things, would have displaced the water. Oh. Yeah, see. And then suddenly the water just kind of goes nowhere or somewhere, or it just, and you can't really see what's going on at the bottom, because currently that's actually flat, but it doesn't look flat because because there's water on the top. You can't actually see the actual height. So water gets in the way, so I leave water till last. So here's our water. The ocean looks natural enough. While we wait for that to dissipate, we are going to put in our rivers. Now, obviously we're going to have this river going down, and as you would have seen in the first video, I advocate putting water source halfway off the edge of the map, and let's try to limit how big the river is to some extent. But you have to realize that, just pause for a second, while the water level here does tell you everything that water is going to be higher than, so it's going to go down. Apparently it's going to be high enough, I mean that is higher than there, so the water technically could just flow over here, but it's not going to, due to the context of there and due to the amount of the height of the water is going to be at that point. So when you're looking at this, that is an accurate representation. It needs to be a bit higher than what you want it, but that it needs to look a bit higher than where you ideally want the water level to be when it gets down to there. So currently I guess I'd be looking at this position, and I'm going to put the height just at the top of the lip of that, because I assume by the time it gets down to there, the water height is going to be lower than that, and so it's going to lap up against that rocky outcrop. So we're going to unpause. We're going to see what happens to this river. We might need to raise it, we might need to lower it. But for the most part, we're actually going to put this river in and then let it run its course while we do everything else, and then come back to it and then maybe tweak stuff. Currently, it seems to be flowing a bit too fast, but we'll see. Anyway, while we're here, as a first motion, I'm just going to put some random water sources around the place. This is basically just to see if there's any nice places to have a lake. Also to see the way the water is going to perform if I decide to fill some of this up with water. Similarly, I'm going to do the same with this, except here it also serves the purpose of helping my river start off its little course. It's going to join up with the water coming down the actual rivers, and maybe, anyway. So you only need to actually have that on for a few seconds. I'm going to get rid of all of it. So you just need a flush of water through the system. And we're probably just going to reset water level at this point. We see that the oxbow is working well, even with all this extra water going through. That might actually mean that it doesn't work at all when we remove all these extra water sources. But so if we survey things, having a bit of a lake system can be nice. Except, for instance, here it draws too much attention to the fact that that looks too orderly. So we probably don't want water there. But we probably do. Oh, water there looks nice. See, some places it's going to look okay, and some places it isn't. The problem is that most of the places the water collects, it looks ugly in. So now we reset water, all the water disappears, that flows down again, and we put maybe a stream of water somewhere. Actually, that's for a lake there. And then maybe we just have a gentle flowing river through here. And perhaps here as well. Actually, probably just have a little bit of water capacity. And just look to see if you can get to break through on the on-one position. There. So while that is all doing its thing, make use of the fact that tropical has different trees. We have palm plants, palm trees. Apparently beeches grow in tropical climate. You get all the temperate trees as well. So you can have your oaks in a tropical. That doesn't seem right. So let's just paint the palm trees. With a strong brush strength, big brush. Paint some palm trees does not make much sense. In fact, palm trees anywhere doesn't really make any sense. Is this a vote of failure in palm trees? I think it may be a vote of non-confidence in palm trees. Chancellor palm tree. You don't have confidence in Chancellor palm tree. So, we remove the palm trees, and we just put a splattering of some palm trees in some places. Yep. Half brush strength, smaller brush, not that much smaller, and plant some palm trees on these slopes. Okay, so we're going with the solid small beach strategy. Put small beaches most other places. We want about 50,000 small beaches, I would say, in this map. Or at least start with 50,000. And then put 50,000 of another tree in the random forested areas. Probably want to end up with at least 150,000 trees in these mountains, because it will help the mountains look more realistic. So, having put some bushes down, trees with leaves as opposed to trees without leaves. We're going to put down some trees with leaves. And then after that, some trees with leaves too. There is, in this game, a distinct lack of trees without leaves. I petition for trees without leaves DLC because, like, when you say trees with leaves, it makes me think that I need a new option. I need the without leaves option. What is Colossal Order denying me? Beginning to think that my decision that temperate looks a lot better and always go with temperate is a very sound and reasonable position to have, because temperate would look better than this. What about fertile land? We're going to put fertile land roughly. We look at the yeah. That looks bad. Actually, maybe we can just leave it. It'll look okay. And as previously discussed, the tree layer will subtract from it. So if we just put a last little texturing, I'm subtracting fertile land at this point, if that wasn't clear. Okay, that's a bit more dissipated, and I'm fairly certain the trees are going to subtract from it again and then cause more. Now, final thing, in terms of the trees, we need to remove the trees that are in the water because that looks unprofessional, ungood. I'm just going to be lazy and just do the old trope of hills being ore, doesn't it? So yeah, now we have the rough ore map, which is kind of, yeah, specked all over the place. And we'll put in some oil. I don't actually like mining or oil in this game so far. Maybe I just haven't warmed to it, but the whole idea of non-renewable resources and building your industry based on those, I guess I just like to have long-term things. But I guess in the scheme of it all, in Skylines, you kind of have industry, and then that industry builds up your city, and then eventually as your city becomes more technologically advanced, it switches over to offices. So perhaps non-renewable stuff is not actually that bad, but the pollution involved, right? If you want your nice perfect city, you might be turned off by that fact. So I just decided to put in the oil in this valley. So then that offers a kind of a reason to go over the mountain, should someone want to go over the mountain. Yeah, and so it's a resource that you have to go out of your way to get to, and it kind of offers a cool in-game fluff history excuse for why you have two separate parts of your city. Also, being on the other side over here, it's not going to affect the rest of the city. Can contain your polluted oil industry to here.